Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, Panda Crafts. In this video, I'm going to be sharing how I created these cute farmhouse signs as well as this vertical hanging succulent planter, all made with things found at the Dollar Tree. So if you're interested in seeing how I created these, then just keep watching. For this DIY, I used this rooster placemat as well as this 11 by 14 frame, some natural raffia, a hot glue gun, some crafting paint, and this is just white, but you can use any color you would like, and a foam brush and an X-Acto knife. The first thing I did was remove the glass and inserts from the frame and then painted the frame really well, making sure to get the inside edge as well as the outside edge, and I ended up doing 2 coats. After I was done painting, I just set the frame aside to dry, and then I took my placemat as well as the insert, and I probably should have used the cardboard insert. It would have made things a lot easier for me. And I just took a dry erase marker and I decided where I wanted to cut, and I actually had to cut his feet off because I really wanted the rise and shine in there. So I just traced around the border. Then using my X-Acto knife and an old cutting board, I carefully cut around the border as well as trimmed off any pieces that were scraggly. And lastly, I just framed the placemat, and then I took my raffia and created a simple bow and then used my hot glue gun to glue that down to the top center of the frame. And that's it. This DIY was so easy to make and incorporate into my decor, and it cost me less than $3 to make. This next DIY is super easy to make. All you're going to need are some scissors, an 8x10 frame, some twine, a hot glue gun, and a printer. I googled free farmhouse images and came across this website, The Little Gold Pixel, and I just scrolled down to find this image of wicked chicken make deviled eggs, and I just found the corresponding number, which was 2, and I clicked on it, and then I scrolled down to the hyperlink and I clicked on that, and then it took me to the print page. This website has a ton of free images that are so cute for personal use, and I will be sure to link the website down in the description box as well. And I just printed this on a regular piece of copy paper, but feel free to use cardstock or whatever you would like, and then I cut it down to the 8x10 size. And then I flipped it over, and then using my hot glue gun, I just applied a little line and then pressed my twine into the twine. I suggest using finger protectors if you have them, otherwise you're going to burn your fingers. And then I kind of made like this V shape that I wanted and held it down with one finger and then glued the other side down. And that's it for this super easy DIY. It cost me nothing to make because I already had these supplies on hand, and it only took me about 5 minutes to make, and I just love how it ties in with the rest of my decor. The vertical hanging planter was a little bit more complex than the last 2 DIYs, but don't let that intimidate you from trying, and you can maybe learn from my mistakes in this video. But I just used that cocoa liner mesh or planter, as well as some of the nautical rope, and then 3 of the shadow boxes in different sizes. LaCroix is optional. And some potting soil, and then I have some succulent trimmings from my yard, but you could also use the fake ones. You would just omit the planting soil, obviously. And then a hot glue gun and some. The first thing I did was line my shadow boxes vertically how I wanted them to sit, with the widest being at the bottom and the narrowest being at the top, and then I flipped them over, and then using my nautical rope, I just kind of halved it to make sure that I had enough to hang it, and then using my hot glue gun, I applied a strip at a time, a generous strip of hot glue, and I pressed each piece down, working around the shadow boxes. Once I got to the top of the bottom shadow box, I just figured out how much of a gap I wanted in between the shadow boxes, and I just kind of held it in place and then continued gluing down to the second shadow box. And I just repeated the same steps for the third and final shadow box. The only thing I did different with the last one is I did hot glue the nautical rope down to the top of the house, so the V shape there at the top. I did glue both sides of that down until they met at the tip. Once the rope was all glued down, I just went ahead and cut off around 7 inches or so and moved on to the next step. Next, I took the cocoa liner and my scissors, and I kind of just began cutting out triangle shapes. It was a little bit difficult to work with the cocoa liner just because of the half hemisphere shape, and in some parts my scissors were having trouble cutting through because of the thickness. And I realized, it dawned on me after making this, that Dollar Tree does sell moss sheets, and that probably would have been a lot easier to work with, and it might have turned out better. And so yeah, I would definitely recommend trying that out first if you are trying to do this DIY. And then I realized after struggling with my hot glue gun why it wasn't coming out. I figured, like, this glue gun has been giving me so many problems, but I realized that it had become unplugged at one point. So making this DIY was a little bit of a hot mess for a while. And then, so as you can see, I'm just gluing down the bottom of that triangle to the bottom of the shadow box and kind of just leaving it because I'm going to fill it with dirt. And then I move on and I do kind of the same thing to the other two boxes. After I had the bottom of each box secure with the cocoa liner, I just went ahead and filled each box with the potting soil. Next, I just pulled over the cocoa liner over the dirt as much as possible and then began hot gluing down the edges. And I wasn't overly concerned with how this thing looked cosmetically because I know that once my succulents start growing and branching out, they're going to cover up all of the cocoa liner anyways. But if you are using fake succulents, you might want to just try to make your cuts as clean as possible, because obviously fake succulents don't grow. But yeah, so I just began cutting off little pieces of scraps to cover up spots where the dirt might fall through. Once I had the boxes all sealed up from dirt falling out, I just took my scissors and a screwdriver and I began kind of poking holes and cutting slits into the cocoa liner, and then taking my succulent stems and planting them. And I played around with this for a while just to figure out the placement and how I wanted everything and to get them to stay in without falling out. And that's pretty much it, you guys. And then all I did after that was I just sprayed it generously with a spray bottle full of water to go ahead and start these guys off nicely. And that's it. I just hung this up by my kitchen window on the cupboard, and it's going to look beautiful when everything starts growing and fills up. And yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you guys like these DIYs, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the little notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. And until my next video, I hope you guys have a great week. Bye!